Nebraska may have slid past Jersey football this past weekend, but we can't call ourselves in the clear just yet. Before we can escape to the bye week, we've got one more tough test to deal with. A team that has shown nothing but improvement and looks to be a solid competition. I just can't say it. We play Purdue this Saturday. After winning last Saturday against Rutgers, Nebraska is firmly in the driver's seat of the Big Ten West, and winning out would mean another shot at a conference title that has eluded them since 1999. There's actually some history as to why November could be the most important month of the Pelini era, so we start with 0 for 1 loss. Throughout Bo Pelini's tenure, Nebraska has only ever entered the month of November with 1 loss twice, excluding this season. In both of those seasons, Nebraska lost 3 of their last 5 games to end both seasons with 4 losses, and 4 of those 6 total losses were to ranked teams. Nebraska likely won't play another ranked team until the Big Ten title game unless Wisconsin slips back into the top 25 in 2 weeks, and winning out seems more possible this year than it has in years past. Entering the conference title game with only 1 loss going against a ranked opponent with a BCS bowl and maybe a playoff berth on the line, this November could be huge in defining Bo Pelini's career at Nebraska. More so than daring the university to fire him after nearly hitting a referee with his hat, I mean. Up next is Q for questionable ratings. Nebraska dropped in the AP poll following a win for the 2nd time this season. Granted, it was only 1 spot, however, I looked into each individual AP voters ballot just to see how the Huskers ended up squaring out at number 17. The results were interesting. Now, there were quite a few who had the Huskers sitting around 16 or 17 or 18 despite the win. Others had the Huskers as high as 13 or 12, and yet there were some who had the Huskers down in the mid-20s despite winning the game by 3 scores. And yes, all of these people had Nebraska ranked 16 the week prior, which means this one game caused them to drop the Huskers 6 spots. However, the most baffling result, albeit an outlier, was the one voter who had Nebraska unranked after this weekend. Not surprisingly, this person was from Detroit and probably only saw the Huskers play Michigan State, as it was the only good game within reasonable driving distance all year. Next, we have S for star power. Of all the teams in the Big Ten, it's become increasingly obvious that Nebraska has the most stars of any team in the conference. It's fair to be skeptical at first. I mean, Ohio State has JT Barrett and Joey Bosa, Michigan State has Connor Cook, Jeremy Langford, and Shalik Calhoun. However, consider the fact that Nebraska not only has arguably the best running back in the country in Amir Abdullah, but also has one of the top defensive and overall prospects in Randy Gregory. Not only that, but throw in Kenny Bell, who causes a viral uproar if he so much as pretends to cut his hair, Tommy Armstrong, who's been talked about ever since he began trading series with Ron Kellogg a year ago, and now DeMornay Pearsonell, who's become more and more popular each week with his playmaking ability on kick returns and his ability to throw touchdowns to our quarterback. When you look at this team from top to bottom, it's hard to make a case for any other team in the Big Ten as to who has more star power than the Huskers. I mean, in the last 2 games, Nebraska's opponents have elected to give free yards to one of the best offenses in the country according to numbers because they're scared of their ability to return the ball. That kind of impact on the field is insane. Finally, we have B for Battle of the Backs. As the date draws closer, more and more comparisons are being made between Nebraska's Amir Abdullah and Wisconsin's Melvin Gordon. Ultimately, whoever is considered the best back will probably be decided on November 15th when Nebraska travels to Camp Randall. However, people are already making a case for either one of these guys. The main strike against Amir is a 48-yard outing against Michigan State, which is pretty silly when you consider both how great the Spartans' defense has been statistically this season, as well as the fact that Abdullah still scored twice en route to Nebraska nearly winning the game at the end of the 4th quarter. Compare that to Melvin Gordon, whose worst game of the season came against Western Illinois, in which he ran for 38 yards, no scores, and on 18 carries. So in conclusion, Nebraska is dropping in the rankings despite beating teams by 3 scores, and Abdullah is being considered less talented than other running backs despite a more impressive resume against better teams. But I'm sure they'll see things differently after we win a hard-fought victory this Saturday against Still can't say that with a straight face. That's it for this week. Be sure to follow us on Twitter @CornFedSports and @CornFedLive for any and all updates on Husker sports. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.